Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today, we got Brandon.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about games and things.
Yep. Games and things.
Games and things. Oh, we got 2 weeks left until our game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just playing through what's on our back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad I sat down and did so, too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I know you've got new things that you've been playing this week.
That's true.
So one of those to talk about. Switches are getting leaked like crazy. So we'll
Yeah, it's true. And they had the announcement of the next graphics card and how much they cost and all that good jazz.
Oh, that sounds fun too.
Yeah, it's sure is something.
Ready to get into it?
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll let you go first because you actually have like legitimately new things to talk about.
Okay, I want to talk about Metaphor ReFantazio. I talked about the demo before a few episodes back, like maybe a month ago or so when I first played the demo. But I own this game now. It was gifted to me for Christmas by a friend. And yeah, this game is excellent. I'm about 20 hours in, and this is one of the games that was nominated for Game of the Year. And having played a decent chunk of it, granted, whenever you play a JRPG, 20 hours is like nothing. But even so, having played about 20 hours of it, I do understand. I get where we're going with this. I do think the big picture for this game is very different from many other kinds of Atlas games. And I'm kind of excited to see what happens, more or less. I think the combat is a little weird.
Yeah.
When I say a little weird, there's some classes that you can get that kind of negate the difficulty. For instance, I was having a tough time with one of the first bosses, and I just swapped everyone into the warrior class, and then we used 3 moves one time each and instantly killed the boss.
Oh wow.
So, and that was with 2 warrior classes that were at level 1 and then one that was at level 12 or 15. So it kind of completely negated the difficulty of that entire fight. And I also found out that you can get mana fucked in this game where you don't have that much mana to cast spells or do your abilities or whatever. But you could just completely negate that by swapping everyone to a mage class, and then in the overhead world go and grinding on low level creatures by just doing the attack without initiating a battle. Because if you attack something that's a lower level than you while you're on the playing field where you're exploring the dungeon and whatnot and everything before you go into the JRPG fight where it's turn-based and whatnot, because you play Persona 5, you know how when you could hit an enemy but you could see them before you go into the fight where it then becomes turn-based and everything, but in the overworld you could see the enemy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you do that in this, you could kill enemies that are lower level than you automatically without initiating that JRPG fight. And if you do that with all of your characters on mage, you get MP back for killing. So you could just continuously run through the first floor or second floor as everyone as a mage to get all your MP back repeatedly, so that you don't have to use your MP potions, because the MP potions and stuff in this game are very scarce, at least on the difficulty and the thing that I'm playing, which is just the next up from the easiest one or whatever, or next up from the normal one, whatever. And the potions are I found 3, and then sometimes enemies will drop 1 or 2, but that's not good, because any fight you are going to use most of your mana in a fight if you get stuck in a fight where it's 4 or 5 enemies at once. So I have to do the grinding by going to the lower level enemies and doing that to get my mana back. But also it feels kind of tedious and weird, because I get that it's a ability of that class, but it does feel like they kind of designed it that way on purpose, and it feels really weird. I'm not entirely sure why they did that. But even so, the actual world building, the characters, and the general story of this game is fantastic. I understand why it got like nominated for Game of the Year. It is a fantastic game, and I can't wait to finish it so I can talk more about it. And I don't want to really do that unless I do end up like if it does come into the Game of the Year discussion in like 2 weeks, then that's when I'll talk about it because I have a lot to say about the story and about how it's written and everything. But it's all spoilers. It's literally all spoilers, and that's a little bit of a problem when it's a JRPG. But it needs to be talked about because I think the story in this game is excellent. So yeah, great game, absolutely great game. So let's go from a JRPG
grindy for my taste, but
so like the grindiness of it and everything. I think I did that myself. I don't think I needed to do that. I just think I did do that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because I did say I'm playing on the next highest difficulty from like the normal and everything. So like I probably fucked myself that way, and I can't really find any way to buy potions that give me back MP. So I kind of fucked myself that way as well. So it's all just kind of my own fault that it's grindy right now. I don't think the game itself is grindy. I think the way I'm playing it is grindy. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna move on from that and go to a completely different game.
Okay.
Which is Echo Point Nova. I actually was just playing this for the first time before we went on the podcast. This is a really weird indie game that I'm about to like pitch to you. So it is a open world game with many like floating islands and whatnot and everything. However, it's a first person shooter, kind of like Doom. But you can like if you see anything on the map, you could travel to it.
Okay.
And like there's like a double jump, there's like a hoverboard that you can use to get from place to place, and there is a grappling hook. But like you could grapple hook onto like clouds and shit. So like the entire point of this game is to like find the smoothest path to get from point A to point B while also like fighting while moving at really high speeds. The game is actually like incredible. I found myself often being like, holy shit, while playing it. It's very different from any kind of game like this that I've played in a very long time. And I don't really know how to describe it other than it's if Doom and Mirror's Edge were combined together with like I don't know. It's got a lot of parkour stuff, but it's also got like a lot of like enemy mobs that you have to kill and this, that, and the other. But you could also go to different planets and explore different areas, and there's like little puzzles and stuff. And you also have a pickaxe, so you can like dig into the planet and find like secrets. It is very unique. I don't think I've played anything like this before. It's incredibly unique and something very different probably from any other kind of game that I've played like this before. I am really enjoying it, but I really need to play more of this to get a feel for it the rest of the way. It's something very different though, and it's very fun. It also has 2 to 4 player co-op, which is crazy. Because like you're careening down like different places. I'm gonna actually send you the trailer for it. I'll put it in general so you can like see it on the page. And there's so much going on at any point in time that it feels like it should be an absolute mess, but the flow of the game is so good that it's not. And I don't really know what it is, but like it feels like almost rhythmic how well everything flows into each other when you're going from like point A to point B. And I really like it, and the gunplay is really good as well. So yeah, super cool game. I'm looking forward to playing more of this one as well. I think this and Metaphor are going to be like the last 2 games I finish for the game of the year to see how I feel about them. Because otherwise, I've got a lot already from last year. So
understandable.
Yeah,
this game is smooth looking,
right?
It's
there's something about just how the like gameplay flows from one thing to another that it feels like it shouldn't, but it does, and that's like the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
I also just like it's got like a lot of Shadow of the Colossus vibes, where it's like I see a thing, I'm gonna go to that thing. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah,
an adventure going from point A to point B.
fair.
I like it. I like it a lot. That's it. That's me.
Okay. Let's see. What have I been playing? Oh, Mario and Luigi Brothership. I still
Nice.
got that there. I'm not going to talk much about it because I talked about it again on the recap again last week. But
Hmm.
um, no, I'm still trying to finish this game, and I have hit like massive burnout on it. But I'm like determined to finish it before we do the Game of the Year talk. I picked it up again the other day. I played it for like 5 minutes, and I was like, "Fuck this shit," and turned it right back off. I have my goodwill is just so exhausted. So I've been trying to detox off of it, and I tried doing that with something random. I went back to South Park Stick of Truth.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay, that's random.
I know, very random, but it was kind of exactly what I needed. I needed a fun turn-based RPG to play,
Hmm.
uh, with similar mechanics, not Mario and Luigi Brothers Ship. I needed something different. And I mean, we talk about how good Stick of Truth is all the time, but my God, that game is so good. Um, it's such a like refreshing breath of fresh air, and it's just so funny, and it still makes me laugh. And the stuff that's in there is just insane. And it was fun this time because DJ got to see some moments of me playing it,
Hmm.
and and it my favorite part even like he was there when like the bedroom scene with like the parents, like that whole battle
Oh,
on the bed.
that battle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's like, "What the fuck are you playing?" I'm like, "It's South Park." He's like, "I can see that." But what the fuck is going on? I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, there's a lot here." He slept right through the abortion sequence, so that was disappointing. Another highlight. This game just has so many like things that I just like absolutely enjoy. Just like so many kind of like not really like set pieces, but just there's so much just to just kind of go through and have fun with and laugh about. And it really does a lot like some of the more core episodes of South Park just hits
Yeah.
on so many threads that are like relevant to the show. That it really is just like this is like top tier like franchise video game. Where it's a great video game and it's very representative representative there we are of um the series that it's like based off of. Like it just does such a good job. And like I said, so many like in jokes are in there and they just do such a good job with like everything that's there. And if you weren't paying attention, you would totally think it's an episode of the TV show. Just because everything art style wise, music wise, just spot on. Voice acting's like exemplary. Pretty much every character you can think of is in that show. And like I said, they just have so many callbacks. It's just been so enjoyable. I went through it and finished it completely. This last week. So
Okay.
um, yeah, it's just nice. Like I said, just a nice kind of refreshing thing. And it's not a terribly long RPG either. Like it's got to be, I don't know, it's got to be only like 10 or 12 hours, right?
Yeah, it's pretty short.
Let me see. Oh yeah, it was spot on. It says 11 and a half hours. So literally, it could not have been any more in the middle. Yeah. So exactly. Yeah, that's about all it takes. So, yeah, but it just has such a nice like battle mechanic. It plays a lot like like the Mario RPGs or Paper Mario's. Listeners, if you've ever played any of those games before, kind of that battle mechanics where it's turn based, but it has you responding depending on what kind of items and attacks you're doing. So that's really good. Another thing I don't think I ever give this game enough credit for too is just how customizable like your looks are as a South Park character. Like you have so many different costume options and like facial like looks, like what your South Park character looks like. I think that's all great stuff. Um, I don't know. I just really enjoyed the game from top to bottom. I think it's not that the fractured butthole is not that game's excellent as well, but Stick
I
of
don't think
Truth
it's
just
anywhere
really
near
has
as
it
good.
nailed.
I just
Yeah.
don't think it's as good in like any way.
I think that there's some parts like I think in terms of like how it's like fleshed out. I think it's a little
Hmm.
bit better. Like overall, it's kind of like the world, um, but I do find like everything from Stick of Truth to be like better in almost every way.
Mm,
The
mm, mm.
story I think is better in Stick of Truth. I like the gameplay mechanics better in Stick of Truth. Fractured Butthole is kind of more of a grid kind of mechanic to it, which is fine. It's not like a bad system, but it's different. That's all. And that can cause some issues or complications there too, depending on what you're doing. But they're both good in different ways. But I just think overall, Stick of Truth is just better kind of runtime too. Like I think Stick of Truth is more made to be kind of a nice, shorter, like fully fledged experience, as
Okay.
opposed to Fractured Butthole, which does have. I mean, it's a longer experience. There's a lot more to kind of go through there. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good game. That's all I gotta say.
Okay.
Do I have anything else to talk about? No, I do not. That's all I got to talk about. I did not. Another thing you talked about last week, which I forgot about, Squid Games. You did talk about that.
Oh
too.
yeah, I watched Squid Games too. That was a great fucking show. I think season 2 is better than the first season. And every way, shape, and form, I really like that the first few episodes don't even take place in the Squid Games itself. And we saw the outside element of it, like how the fact that Squid Games exist, it has a bearing on like the world outside of just the games. And
Mhm.
I like that element of it. I also like the whole like psychological element of it. Like we had an entire scene where we saw this guy who would go and buy a shit ton of like bread and a shit ton of lottery tickets, and he like gave people the choice: would you rather have a thing of bread to eat now
Mhm.
or a lottery ticket and have a chance at you know being millionaire, getting thousands of dollars or whatever, that sort of thing, and forfeit the bread. And I really liked that scene. I thought that scene was like really really well done because
Mhm.
it showed like how he viewed people
Yeah.
and how the people working in those games or in the like that have to do with the games, the people that have to do with the games, how they interact with people outside of the games. And it was like, is pretty crazy to see that because it just felt like, damn, these people view these people as like less than human. And it was kind of like a really cool element of it. But I just like Squid Games 2 a lot. I watched it all in one night and I thought it was better in pretty much every way, shape, and form than the first season. And so, yeah, there you go.
That's good. I'll have to watch it. I still didn't. We kind of talked about it this week, but had not started it yet. So
Hmm.
I'll get there. Definitely is on the to watch list. What else do we want to talk about? Just news? Is that what we're on to now?
Yeah. We could talk about a little bit of news. I wanted to actually mention there's a keynote, and I didn't see much of it. Like I didn't really watch it, but I did see a few things.
Mhm.
Like the fact that Nvidia has decided to pretty much phase out any kind of lower to mid-range card. It's just gone now. It doesn't exist anymore. You can't buy like a $200 or $300 or even $400 graphics card anymore from Nvidia. Their next line of graphics cards will start at 550,
Oh, jeez.
which is just pretty ridiculous. However, supposedly, according to them, their line of graphics cards that start at 550 will have the power of a 4090, which is currently a $1,000 card. So when
Oh,
you view it that way, it's like, okay, that's kind of cool,
yeah, it's
but
reasonable.
but
More
here's the
reasonable.
thing: when Nvidia and AMD and anyone in the PC gaming space right now, or just the graphics card space right now, says the power of a blah 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 blah, you gotta take that with a drop, like you gotta take that with like a grain of salt, essentially,
Uh-huh.
because you don't know if they mean like full rasterized power, like this is just straight out the gate, this is what the power is, or if you have to tick some boxes and make fake frames and you have to use upscaling technology, because they've been doing this really shady thing lately where they'll say like, oh, it has the power of this or it can do this, but then when you actually see it, it can only do that if you use upscaling technology, which then instead of having a 4K 60 experience, you're doing the same thing that consoles do nowadays, which is you're upscaling from 1080p to 4K. So then at that point, it's like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
And then when you
Mhm.
couple on something like frame generation, which I don't know if I ever explained that to you, but the way frame generation works is it takes the numbers of frames that you have and inserts an extra one that is AI driven, and the AI driven frame makes it so it appears like you have 60 FPS or 80 FPS or 100 FPS, but you're actually getting half of that, and you'll feel it from the input latency that you get when playing your game with FrameGen turned on. It's very kind of shady in a way, and I really think that like FrameGen and DLSS and FSR and XESS and all these other things have just given developers, and I mean like even graphics card people and like Nvidia and AMD and yada 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 blah blah, just they've given them a chance to be lazy and not even attempt to do anything to like optimize their games any longer. So that's why you have to kind of take this $550 card will be the same as a $1,000 card is now, sort of thing, with a grain of salt, because it's like, okay, but is that with FrameGen? Is that with fake frames? Is that with DLSS? Is that with like a fake resolution? Or are you saying like how the 4090 now can do like 4K 60 without FrameGen, without DLSS in some cases? Are you going to be able to do that with the 5070 is what they are calling the next card that's coming out? Or is it you're able to do that but only with DLSS, which is upscaling that image, which is adding those frames in that don't actually exist using AI? And there's a huge difference between the two, and graphics card manufacturers right now really don't want you to know which one you're getting. So it's kind of a wait and see sort of deal. I'm at 4070 Ti, which is about 30 to 40% less than a 4090 is right now. And if it comes down to it, and if it's available to me and I'm able to get it, I will get a 5070 if it is actually a 4090 and not a 4090 with all those, you need DLSS, you need this, you need that, and blah, 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 blah. Or else it's like, then it's just on par with the same card I already have. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm hesitant. I don't really trust the market right now when it comes to PC gaming, not necessarily because the side of it is like bad for gaming and everything. I do think you can get a lot for a lower amount of money right now with things like the new Intel cards that just released. However, the problem is all of these manufacturers are quite shady, and they've kind of fully acclimated now to just expecting you to think they know like everything is DLSS, everything is a form of upscaling, and that's kind of shitty because it doesn't look bad, right? But it's very obviously not the best that it can be. Like I don't know how to explain it more or less. It's just, yeah, it looks fine, and yeah, it does look really good, but it could look better if it was like the real resolution, if that makes any sense. So
okay,
I just don't want it to suck. That's all there is at the end of the day. I'm leaning more towards going AMD in the future because I do want to try their side of things, but at the same time, I just might not upgrade at all. So
yeah, let's wait and see how things shake out.
yeah, that's basically where I'm at the moment.
Any other news bits you have?
I mean, we did allude to the fucking Nintendo Switch and shit like that. So the Switch 2 is currently at not at CES, which is a Consumer Electronics Show. However,
well, not officially.
However, a bunch of people, I think like Hyperkin and these other places like D-Brand and whatnot, these people that make cases, third-party controllers, grips and shit like that. They've got stuff made for the Switch 2 that they're showing off at CES.
Yep,
even though we've not seen a Switch 2 yet at all. It hasn't even been announced. Yep. But we're seeing like the accessories for the Switch 2 before the fucking Switch 2, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, you have to think that Nintendo, at this point, they had to have planned to have unveiled it already. There's no way that this is an ideal scenario for them, having third-party manufacturers show off their system before they do. Of granted, it's not like we're seeing like the games or the UI or anything like that. But from what it looks like, pretty seemingly accurate, presumably systems that are just basically like built with the same factory equipment. Just not without the innards, like just the shell. But yeah, you could see like the whole thing. Like I've seen docks leaked. I've seen the grips with the Joy-Cons on it and the colored properly. There's some rumors now too that the Joy-Con's it's gonna be able to function as a mouse, which I think is very interesting.
Okay.
That was
So
a new one.
There's currently a gaming PC, like a handheld PC similar to the Steam Deck, that does do the thing where it has Joy-Cons that detach. Like they actually have Joy-Cons. I need to figure out what it's called. I believe it's Lenovo Legion Go. Let me check. Yeah, the Lenovo Legion Go has the controllers that detach from the sides, like Joy-Cons, one on each side, and you can also use those as mice. It's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, it's a neat idea. So, and there's
I
don't know if we talked about it. There's a rumor not that long ago that the Switch had some sort of programming for a mouse at least being like integrated into it. I mean,
they could take this idea because like
Paint,
if you look at the picture I had linked, right? You see the Joy-Con that's inside the little circle thing right there?
Yeah.
So that works as a mouse now. So you grab it like you would grip a Joy-Con, but instead it's now a mouse, and you actually use the triggers as like a left click, right click instead of like a top down left click, right click. It's a sideways left click, like right click, that sort of deal. But you still have the mouse movement because the little circle puck that's on the bottom of it uses that to like kind of center it and give it like the rigidity that it needs so that you can move it around like a mouse on a table and whatnot.
Yeah, so the Switch's case, from what it appears, it looks like the optical sensor is just inside like the rail area. So you would just turn the Switch Joy-Con so that the rail was facing the table, so obviously that's when the optical can see, whatever. And then I don't know, presumably you would just use the trigger buttons for mouse buttons. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it looks like that's at least what it's theorized at this point. I mean, who fucking knows? You can only guess so much from some of these kind of pieces with what they're looking at. But there's that. I did see that was a rumor. There is a lot of speculation that the Switch 2 will be officially announced this month, and it seems like it's very strong speculation. But again, I feel like at this point they've already said they're going to announce it by, I think, the end of March. So it's like, how much time do they really have left to do it anyways? So it's gotta be coming soon. I'm sure we'll hear more about it now. There was another, what was it? Oh, and there's I guess a speculation based on some of the how the thing is designed chip wise, and they think that it's using a weaker chip than would be expected, is what it sounded like. Let me see if I can pull that up, because it'd probably make more sense to you than it did to me when I had read it. Where are you? There's like I swear there's like a new rumor like every day. So, oh geez, there's so many lately. A lot more scrolling than I thought I did. Where? Oh, this is. Oh, here we are. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a Samsung NM node.
Oh, okay.
A 5 NM. I don't remember if I said that. A 5 NM node, which I guess they said is kind of outdated. They're expecting.
I mean, the Switch was outdated, so like, whatever.
Yeah, people are expecting it to be more like PlayStation 4 kind of specs as opposed to PlayStation 4 Pro. Is kind of what they're expecting. Also, just random rumor that I saw after we recorded last week, which actually it's seemingly relevant because we did talk about this recently. But Samus Hunter, who has been a strange leaker for the Nintendo stuff. I think we talked about them before. I think this is the OnlyFans one. But they had a recent rumor that Star Fox Adventures is going to get a remake, which is very strange. And normally, like they've Samus Hunter was known because when they first kind of appeared, they had some very good leaks, and then they went through a period with like really bad, like obviously bad leaks, and then all of a sudden, the last couple months, they have been like strangely accurate for things that they have no business being accurate for. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, okay, well, maybe there's some legitimacy to this if this is being pulled out of the blue." And when I say like stuff that they had no business knowing, like things that they had gotten recently correct, that the MEO was a Famicom Detective Club game. Nobody fucking knew that, and nobody would have guessed that. Xenoblade Chronicles X coming to the Switch, and then they did actually announce they were aware of a Donkey Kong announcement prior to the, I think it was the Donkey Kong like direct that was for the amusement park. So it is strangely coincidental that they've had so much accuracy lately, especially with stuff like I said, nobody would have known MEO as a Famicom Detective Club game, and I don't think anybody expected Xenoblade Chronicles X to be a Switch game. So those are all big surprises. So it's possible we might be actually getting a Star Fox Adventures remake. So also, I think it seems kind of likely too, because it seems like we've talked about recently, Nintendo very clearly, even if they're not like directly coming out and saying it, but they have an agenda that seems to be, let's get all as much of their old stuff available as possible. And I feel like they made pretty good strides with that during the Switch generation, but obviously their biggest weakness right now is that the Switch and the Wii games. Those are the ones that just they have to do the most work for, and so those are the ones that have been kind of slowly chugging out now that they have almost every single Wii U game available on the Switch. So there's only like 3-4 Nintendo games left that are not out yet. It's wild.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I did think of one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, oh god, it was also CES. It was something I wanted to talk about at CES. Give me 1 second. Let my brain remember what it was one more time. Oh, Sony had a CES presentation. They announced a bunch of movies based off their games. So they're literally just turning their walking simulator games into movies now.
Oh, I did see Ghost of Tsushima is getting an anime.
That's getting an anime. That's kind of cool. They announced Ghost of Tsushima anime, that's fine. That's cool. I mean, that's already a game. They announced Until Dawn movie. They announced a Helldivers 2 movie.
And, I did see that too. Yeah.
And then they announced everyone's favorite industry plant, Horizon Zero Dawn, will get a live action movie as well.
Of course.
I mean, I don't know of anyone that actually. So I've always said this. I've said this a million times, and I'll always say it. I've never spoken to anyone in the world who says Horizon Zero Dawn is their favorite game.
Never.
I don't believe there is anyone in the world who actually thinks Horizon Zero Dawn is their favorite game. I don't know what Sony has as their like agenda for that game, but they are obsessed with that game, and it's just mediocre at best.
I think Sony's thing is kind of based on just how things went the last couple generations. I think they feel like if they try long enough and hard enough, people will care. And it's definitely not the case. And especially not the case with this game. But I mean, it does seem like it's got like the production value. It just seemed like, I don't know, like I agree. I've not heard anyone ever been like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." Like, no. I mean, it's an interesting concept. You might be able to do a cool movie with it, but
so the second game looks really pretty, right?
Yeah.
But it's very Ubisoft open world.
Mm-hmm.
The first game doesn't look as good, and like it looked good for the PS2 and the
PS2.
What I said PS2. I'm sorry, I was being dumb.
It looks great for the PS2.
It looks good for the PS4, right? Mm-hmm. And the PC version they released later on was also very, very good. So that's cool. However, like it's such a nothing game. It is such a nothing game. If Ubisoft's name was attached to Horizon Zero Dawn, I would be like, yeah, that checks out, because that's just how the game feels.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like an open world Ubisoft game, but because Sony's name is on it, it's okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Sony's gonna do what Sony wants to do anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, really, does Sony? No, I guess they do have. I mean, they don't have anything quite like that genre-wise, especially not these days. I don't feel like as much as they used to. But yeah, I agree. Maybe this generation they'll finally be done with it. Maybe they'll take a hint. I can't even imagine the Lego version made much waves during the
Oh,
holidays.
it didn't. It sold really, really poorly.
Yeah, it's not.
It was
an
a
exciting
commercial flop.
property. Kids, there's no way kids are like, oh my god, I want Lego Horizons.
I want Lego Horizon Zero Dawn, a game that is rated either T or M. I don't remember which one. But as a Lego property, what?
Yeah, makes no sense. Not even a little.
I actually have to check. Is it rated M? I don't actually know.
I think it's T.
You might be right. It is T. At least the first one is. Is the second one? Horizon. What even is the second one?
I can't even remember the subtitle.
Forbidden West, I think.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a name.
That yeah, that does sound like a name. Yeah, they're both T. Name? They're both T. It is correct. Mm-hmm. It is correct, and they are both T. But it's like they're very post-apocalyptic and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Open world, fighting robotic dinosaurs, dealing with power struggles, yada yada yada. I can't see that translating well to a Lego game. I don't think the demographic there's a carryover there.
No, not really. And I mean, you could make a case to be like, well, it's like, because I remember with Indiana Jones, like when that Lego version came out, mm-hmm. like we were like, well, the kids probably won't like it as much just because they won't have as much familiarity with Lego or with Indiana Jones, mm-hmm. Which made sense at the time. But I mean, I still think Indiana Jones is definitely more towards like, you don't know a lot of kids that are very excited for it. But also when Lego Indiana Jones came out, like the Indiana Jones was already like 20 years old. Like, yeah. Since the last release, like, yeah, kids are not even gonna know about that. Like their parents were kids when that game came, or when those movies came out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's that. And granted, maybe they had come back later, but kind of the same issue there. But granted, like I feel like those are more approachable and timeless because a lot of parents will come back and show their kids like, hey, these are these cool movies, and now there's 2 more even since then. So be like, it's a great way to get kids kind of involved with it. But that in 20 years from now, no one's going to be like, oh, here's this great game I grew up with, Horizon Zero Dawn, and here's the Lego version. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know of anyone now that's like, here's this great game I played a few years ago, Horizon Zero. I don't know of anyone that says that.
No. Yeah, like I said, I've never heard anyone. Aside from us talking about this game, I've never heard anyone else talk about it.
Oh, yeah, you have Sony.
So anyone who like has a reason to buy it, mm-hmm. Sony's not going to buy it. Yeah, so I don't know.
It's also like the most artificially inflated numbers of a game sold. Like it is one of the highest selling games of all time, but it's the exact same reason that. Well, it's not the exact same reason, but it's because it was bundled with PS4s during Black Friday sales. Like, oh, yeah, of course you're going to sell that many copies of a game when you're selling the consoles, and you're just kind of forcing it in there.
It'd be like giving, the gold crown to, say, like, Wii Sports.
Wii Sports is the top-selling game of all time.
Yeah, and that's because it was bundled with literally every single Wii sold in the US.
Well, they did sell it separately, and it also sold a lot of copies separately. So it's like, okay, well, at least there's a little bit more, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a little bit more legit than Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn was like, yeah, we just packaged it in every PlayStation 4 ever,
and it still didn't even make people interested in it. I'm sure
not in the game.
Play it though.
Yeah,
yeah, and at least that's probably the other reason. They probably look at that and be like, oh man, Horizon Zero Dawn sold so many copies. We have to make sequels. We got to recapture the magic. Probably don't even see the reason why. So I don't know. News-wise, I think that's about all I have though. I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah, I don't really got anything either.
Okay. Ready to wrap up then?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Also check out our website, game-crunch.com. Has all of our old episodes there. And if you want to send us email, you can reach us at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon.
Hello.
Any final thoughts?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Okay. That said, my name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online, Clash of Penguin there, or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
Game on, Mike and Brandon on the screen. Diving deep in the pixel stream. Every level, every quest shine. Game on, got that power up, feeling blessed. Controllers up, hear the cheer. Blasting through the gaming sphere. Game on, here we go, Mike and Brandon's zone. Game on, unlocking secrets, never playing alone. With every challenge, our spirits align. Level up, hit the score, it's a neon sign. Jump and run, join the thrill, it's a world premiere. Game on, in the realm of heroes, we conquer the fear.
We're now recording. Well, what happened last week? Was there a backup recording, or did we just lose everything?
We just lost everything.
Damn,
So
that's
I know.
tough.
I know it's because I was out of my normal rhythm, so it
Mhm.
just didn't even cross my mind until afterwards when I went to go download it. I'm like, there's nothing here.
Oh my god.
I know.
Well,
It is what it is. It happens. I mean, it's like the second time we've done it in 10 years. I honestly think that's pretty good.
second time in 10 years. That's insane.
Mhm. Probably longer than 10 years at this point, to be honest. But
Yeah.